background music. Right. So you're an Adele?
I am.
And approaching for now, yeah. Is that something you're happy with? Something you're struggling with?
I
or some
mean,
things?
so I've only been playing for, I think I just hit 2.5 months
Mm-hmm.
as of yesterday.
Okay.
So when I first started, obviously 2.5 months ago, I was doing some research and everyone's like, well, Adele's really strong. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to just play like a really strong class, but
Mm-hmm.
I started playing it and it was during the Terra burn. So it was the first character that I Terra burned.
Yep.
And no, I enjoyed it. It was going really fast. And I mean, it's definitely a strong character. So, I mean,
For sure.
it's fun to play, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm doing Legion and Link's grind, I'm kind of finding other classes that I also like, but
Mm-hmm.
so far I'm sticking with Adele.
Okay. And when you find other characters that you also like, which type of characteristics do you find yourself enjoying that maybe Adele has less of?
See, I really enjoy some of the thief classes, primarily due to like mobility. I feel like they just move around very fluently across maps,
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of fun, especially like I enjoyed Hoi Young a lot doing that one
Mhm.
for Links, but
With the fake and real attacks and being able to dash and
yeah, and being able to like fly around and stuff, it's just
yeah.
it moves very fluently across maps, and I
Mhm.
found that enjoyable to play,
And when it comes to Adele, with the resonance rush and the floating and the feather step, you find that
See,
doesn't.
that's what I also liked about that. Feather float, you're able to
Mhm.
dodge with that, and you can impale res to move quickly across the map.
Yeah, exactly. And you can pre-impale, res impale, float,
Yeah.
feather
So,
float, crush down. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. But I mean, in a sense, I would say that Adele has some of those qualities, but I think the main thing that I see as a difference is like the double flash jump, right?
yes.
Most thieves have
Yeah.
like a double one, and then
Yeah.
because like jumping around with cleave is also pretty fluid and pretty cool, but like a double jump just gives a little extra whoosh through the map, so you can really
Absolutely.
horizontally cover more, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to vertical, though, I think most thieves are a little bit challenged.
That's
Whereas
why I like
Adele
Hoi
has
Young,
way
you're
more
able
there.
You're able to do the cloud ride if you do the main
Yeah.
quest.
Yeah, you just go everywhere. You can even go down. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, very few limitations to Ho Young's mobility and survivability. Yeah, very solid class. They lost a bunch of their burst capability in the last changes, but it's still up there for sure. And as complicated as they may seem in the beginning, once you figure them out, once you learn your cycles with your skills and stuff, they actually become way more simple, and they can even become like, as long as your buffs are up, just like a single button in the middle of the map, and everything around just kind of dies because of the was it the clones and the butterflies? They just finish everything off,
Yep.
and your big summon. So, I would say versatile. Also, definitely if you're considering that, definitely a worthwhile character to look into. Even if it doesn't turn out to be like a main, or it can always be a side character. Or it could be a very strong like side bossing character if you want to. Exactly. Oh, you just became a bit more quiet, by the way. I don't know if you moved away.
My
or-
mic might have pulled away a little bit.
There you go. Yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah. But so for now, you're still finding, but you're still like exploring Adele, right? I mean, you're still encountering new content and seeing how Adele can rise to the
Yeah,
occasion yeah.
I'm still learning every day,
Mhm.
kind of how to use it, especially coming from not playing at all to playing. There's a lot of things that I missed and didn't really quite understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, when I first Terra burned the character, I got it to 200 super fast, and I got the nodes.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was doing was, if I saw a node and it wasn't the exact same node, I just break it down, even if it's another cleave node.
Right.
I was just disassembling it, and I would only get 10 of the points to make another one.
Yeah.
When in reality, I could have been leveling it up, so my nodes are like super low. So now that I've learned that, it's getting stronger, and I'm finally able to 1-2 shot when I'm training. But
Yeah, and Cleave, super solid skill in that. Good hitbox, good base damage, and the nodes for that are gold. Both for mobbing and bossing, just so much damage increase. Yeah, that is something UOV Matrix is quite is quite a thing on its own. Do you feel like there's still something? I mean, we can go into it if you want. Like with the V Matrix, is there still something that you're kind of questioning about, like moving forward with it, or if you just double checking if you're on the right path with it, something like that?
So what I'm a little confused on mainly is like grinding to get the nodes, and like how I should be doing that efficiently, because I could grind, and with my time limitations for playing is, I can play for maybe like 1 to 3 hours a day, if every day. Sometimes it's not every day.
Yeah,
due to work.
Because of work, yeah. And weekends a little bit more free.
Weekends are more free. Like my main 2 days that I get to actually grind and move forward is like Saturday nights and Sundays are my 2 days.
Yep.
But
yeah, so one thing I would always say is that this is like kind of a general rule, but the nodes are very important in this. If there's ever like an event store, I would always say prioritize items that you need that you cannot otherwise buy with Mesos to buy with the event currency. That seems obvious, but sometimes it can be very tempting to be like, oh, this thing is very expensive for Mesos, so I'll just buy it with event coins. I would always still prioritize event unique items, or like items that you cannot otherwise buy with Mesos, always with event coins. And within that, node stones I think are probably for like a starting account, but unless you have like a stack of several hundreds in the storage, I would always say node stones are probably always the go-to. And then second closest would be like event rings, most likely.
I see.
Yeah, so there isn't one out now. I think the next event is going to have some, so that's just something you jump on, because node stones are just so important to get that baseline level of your boost nodes up, and to make sure that your base final damage is just way higher than what it is now, so that you can rely on that for bossing and stuff.
Definitely.
With that being said, I do notice that in your V Matrix that you have... Well, and the other thing... Well, sorry, just to finish that topic. So the other thing is also to know if you are primarily getting your resources from just one single character, or if you're going to have a farming kana on the side. I assume that you're just going to do it with your main character, right? Because of the hour restriction.
Yeah, so actually with this current event going on, I've already gotten a 0 to 200, because I had that to 130, so it was quick to get to the 131 to access that. And my kana, when I terror burned that, I got it to 145. I didn't really have time to bring it up all the way, so I kept playing on my Adele. But I just got that to level 200 as well.
Nice. You're solid for the Legion grid coverage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So to get back, but if you're mainly getting your resources and getting your income, your daily, weekly income, all of that from your main character, it comes to like upgrading stuff. Is that the priority? I would say is definitely first like your weapon secondary and emblem, right? WSE. You've probably seen that quite a bit.
Yes.
That's where the percentage attack comes from. That's where the ID comes from. The boss damage comes from, right? That's where really big chunk of your damage comes from, both from mobbing and bossing. And then after that, usually the next priorities, I would say, is like the accessories. And there, you try to get the Meso obtained, try to get the drop rate, so that you can get the bags to drop, make a lot of money. That will fund all of your future stuff that you're doing. Plus, the drop rate will allow you to get more node stones, get droplets, get all of that kind of stuff. If there's an event, you get the event drops faster. If you're bossing, you can get the boss drops a little bit faster. And because you're an Adele, a class that's so solidly strong by itself, has enough of the metrics, with a little bit of help, gets enough crit rate, gets enough critical damage, IED, boss damage, can get those numbers, and just supplemented by Legion is enough. You don't need to go super hard on pumping out a lot of raw damage and a lot of raw stat to be able to clear the content around your level. So you're in a good situation with the class that you can, if the boost nodes level up, the arcane symbols level up, and everything else is like slowly moving with you, like Legion, then you don't need to go super hard in getting everything legendary and getting like, a bunch of percentage strength on everything. You can get by with decent WSE, which means like 2 useful lines typically, right? If it's a line of attack and a line of IED, or 2 lines of attack, or even like a line of attack and a line of regular damage, or a line of attack and a line of boss damage, something like that. As long as you have 2 useful lines, that's good, move on. And then you want to get the accessory set done. So 9 pieces, 4 with drop rate, 5 with Meso obtained. That does mean that you want to get them all to legendary. If they can all get a line of strength along with it, that would be great, right? Because it is 9 pieces. If they all have 9% strength, it is 81% strength. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
If not initially, that's fine too. Other characters might struggle and take a big hit there in kill speed. Adele, not so much. And if you get used to that kill speed, your kill speed will still slowly recover and pick up because of your arcane symbols. If you're doing your dailies, and because of nodes that will slowly cover up, right, boost node levels. And once you get to the point, basically like the extra income will just help you get to the point where there's an event, you've got some money saved up, and then you can really spend during the event and make those big jump and big gains. And the time in between the events, you focus on doing dailies and weeklies to slowly build up backups and build up the items that you need to invest in when the next event comes around, basically.
Okay. Yeah, see, that's my main thing right now is like prioritizing time, which is, I believe it's one of my questions on here. Because it's like, I log on and I'm kind of like scattered brain trying to do it. It's like, do I do my dailies today, or do I work on my Legion characters to make myself a little bit stronger and fund the rest of my account? It's like, what do I want to do? Because in that time period, I can either do all my dailies and do my bosses, or I can work on a character. And, you know, sometimes it's like, well, I can get this character from, you know, level 70 to level 120 tonight for that level 2 link skill, or I can do, you know, my
and if you're a little bit more time constrained, everything is like, what's the opportunity cost between all the different things? Because if you do A, you can't do B, and then if you do C and D, maybe that's less progress, but it maybe is better progress in the long term. Yeah, for sure. So how familiar are you with the commands in my chat?
So I'm pretty familiar with most of them. I use their progression guide I kind of follow that for my main, and then I go over and I look at the Legion one for what I should be working on. You know, which characters I should be going through, which I already have. Let's see, I have 14 characters total already, and most of them are all, you know, the training links and stuff like that.
Yeah, the early ones, because you mentioned Zero. Kana's pretty high up there with the percentages, of course. And then you have the other ones like the Aaron I see, so you have the Evan, So that's Phantom for crit rate. You got the Arc Link skill in there. Yeah, those are that is definitely good progress. Those are like most of the ones that you want. And if you notice, those characters also starting to level up faster and more easily as you started building the Legion.
Yeah, so I noticed like every time I get that character to like the level 2 link, and I expand the grid, and it helps the next one. Then when I go to the next one, it's like less time to get that one to 120 and so on and so forth, you know?
Yeah, Snowball is starting to roll. Once you hit 3K, you're really going to feel it. Because with 3K, 2.5 to 3, you get to put 5 extra characters in. And you get that extra grid expansion as well. And that's also when you're going to be basically moving your pieces instead of where they are now, moving them more into crit rate and into critical damage. Just to make sure that every new character you get hits the crits, and when they hit a crit, you pump that critical damage, and that's going to make their kill speed go up by a whole lot, way more than just the flat attack and strength that you can give them from the center of the grid. And that's what the big importance is of building your legions out. And in the beginning, so to make sure that we get everything through with the V matrix, you're familiar with like which skills to look for, because I see you have like all the skills you have are like the ones that you want. You're familiar with like the double setup with the max level 60 and how that all works?
Yeah, so what I'm planning to have is the 3 that I'm looking for, or the 6 skills that I'm looking for would be the Aether, Bloom, Cleave, Trio, the Rain, Dispatch, and so I believe it's Aether, Cleave, Bloom, Rain, Dispatch, and Noble Summons.
It's the one that it's the button that you press the second or third most. Noble Summons is when you pull them to you, but like to summon them, it's a different skill. Hunting Decree is what you're looking for.
Hunting Decree, yeah, that one.
Yeah, that's when you summon those 2 swords. Yeah, so yes, those 6. So boost nodes go up to level 25, right? And they go into level 5 slots, so that's 30, and they can be boosted up to 60. So you want to make sure that you have a total of 4 boost nodes, and that every skill is visible or is in 2 separate boost nodes. So it doesn't mean in the beginning. If you have, in the beginning, you're pretty limited on slots. I would say that with your limited slots that you have, I think weapon aura is pretty low value early on. That's something that gets mostly value in bossing, and only when it's leveled, when the uptime gets really good. Just gives like a little bit of ID and a little bit of extra damage. But early on, I think, and also the what is it? Is it resonance something? The bigger wings.
Oh, Legacy Restoration?
Oh, Legacy Restoration, yeah, that one. Yeah, exactly like I said. Those two have like on the lower end of value early on. What I think is better value is probably either 2 extra boost nodes if you find the ones you want, and then put them in the high leveled slots where the blades and the ruin now are. Or, you know, until you get to that point, if you get if you can get decent speed infusion, that also helps you with your attack speed, helps you with hopping through the map faster, combined with the green potions as well from Monster Park, if you can buy those to hit your highest attack speed possible. Okay. And maybe even Storm, which is also quite nice. Once you hit 6 swords, then you're actually building up extra power. And this will be mainly when you're on totems, right? If you're off totems, it's kind of sometimes even tricky to keep your hunting decree up. But if you're on totems, you'll have way enough spawn to hit, and you'll build up your ether quite fast. And then you could be like, okay, I've got like 2 more swords saved up, and I've already got 6 floating around. Pop Storm, it'll fill up your bar. Pop out 3 more, and you basically have like a mini Infinity Blade all by itself. And then you rotate that with Infinity Blade, rotate that with Ruin. But I would start looking for like 1 more, maybe even 2 more boost nodes that just have Cleave and Hunting Decree on it, even if they have none of the other ones. And maybe even equip 3 boost nodes that have Cleave and Hunting Decree. And then later you can consolidate into the 6 that you want. But early on, you just want your Cleave to get high level, because that's the one you use all the time. That's the one with your big hitbox. That's the one that, you know, for mobbing to power through. That's the one you want to have really high and really fast. So because the power is, if you use 3 boost nodes, you get to put them in 3 different slots that are all leveled up by 5, right? So if you get 3 boost nodes that are all level 9, you're looking at 27 plus 15. You're looking at level 42, which is 84% final damage increase. That's huge. And then later you can use them as long as they have the same prime skill. You can use them as a boost node for another node, and then you can consolidate later without loss of efficiency there.
I see. Yeah, so I'm planning on going to the 4 slot boost nodes when I can, but my other thing is not having the drop to really efficiently get the node stones. I'm not getting any more to put in the slots. That's why right now I have the Legacy Restoration.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so in the short term, I would probably put Storm in there instead of Weapon Aura. I think that's the easy switch. And then, like I said, you know, if luxury allows, extra boost nodes / decent speed infusion, ones that you want to look for in the middle term. And yeah, there's no store right now where you can buy a bunch of nodes, so that's not the thing. So the one thing that we can work on is trying to get you drop rate, right? That's the other side there. Yeah. That and just killing a lot of monsters, right? The combination of the two, hopefully. But that's where you're gonna get your nodes at this point. And like the 3 per week for doing Vanishing Journey dailies, right? But you're already doing that. That's not really, and it's a little extra, but that's not that can't fund your whole dog and pony operation here. So that's just a little extra on the side. But yeah, Matrix specific, like that's as long as all of that is like all clear, then I think we can move away from the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're kind of looking at Legion. Yeah, so I think I stressed the value of the outside grid, right? I could see why you would keep what you're doing now, because like moving it around and then moving it around again. At 3K, I would advise to just like clear the board and focus on line through the middle, like horizontal line through the middle, connect critical rate and critical damage, and fill those out first. You'll find new characters just getting a huge power spike from that. Especially until they hit 3rd job. Typically, like around 2nd and 3rd job, they can start getting some crit rate skills, and then they'll be able to, you know, take off on their own. But if you have the crit links and a crit in the Legion and a critical damage in the Legion and some of the crit Legion members, you throw that together, characters will just double, triple their damage when you create them, and they'll be able to level so much faster. As it comes to the leveling process and managing your time there, if you find a character you enjoy, then I would say, you know, savor that, because you're not going to enjoy all of them. There's going to be some really annoying ones. Some of them you might have already made. And then go for the leveling. If you don't enjoy it, I would look at it pure efficiently, like either just, if you really, really hate it, just cast it aside, wait for a burning event. If it's just like mildly inconvenient, maybe wait for an event where you can get easy levels. More and more of these events, though, have been for characters like over level 130 and stuff, which is not terribly user-friendly for people with very low-level legions. Because it more inspires people to like make level 200s. But at your situation, what you want to do is you want to throw 23 more characters into your account, get them all to level 60, and like boom, that's 1.4k legion, right?
Yeah.
Even just making level 60s. And then, or if you make them level 70, just for that level 1 link, then you're looking at like 23, 10, you know, then you're looking at 1.6 or something. Then you're looking at like 3.6k legion already. With it doing all the easy stuff. But yeah, why do you find the time? So I think it's a good idea to always do a little bit of both. To do like either you just create one character and get it to level 60, and then the rest of your time you just spend on your main. Or you're like, okay, I'm just going to do like daily Zakum runs on like 5 characters that are level 120. Just log in, kill Zakum, log out, and then do the rest of the stuff on my main. Something like that.
Yes, if you look at my Legion, you can kind of see that I've already started doing that on like my Aaron and my Ilum, everyone. So I usually log on, do that, and I might get half a level, I might get a level, depending if I can find a rune quick or not, you know.
Yeah. And you know about the not killing the Zakum too fast, killing the arms, right?
Yeah, kill all the arms and get the...
Yeah, because sometimes people are like, oh, the experience is so bad, but then it's because they attack too fast and then kill Zakum before the arms spawn. And then the arms disappear, but you don't get the experience from the arms. That's where most of the experience is in the arms. So you want to make sure you don't attack too quickly.
Yeah. So that's that there. And
yeah, rune is rune helps a lot, but then if you take forever to find a rune, then the efficiency is kind of gone.
Yeah. So what you're saying about getting each to level 60, as of right now, I can usually, when I was doing the 0 to 70 for the first 12, I could usually get 2 to level 70 a day using 1 to level 30. I usually do in like pretty fast. And then I do the 3 dungeons, and then I'll do Drakes to 70, and that usually is an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the character. So I can usually do like 1 to 2 of those a day.
Do you tend to move the links to that character as well?
I only grind with links on the character.
Okay, yeah. And do you use do you get Monster Park potions for that?
I do get potions from my main, and then on top of that, I also do have an MVP 3, so every now and then I'll get a couple.
Oh yeah.
I'll get a couple EXP coupons 2 times, and if it's like a really bad character, I'll throw it on that and speed it up.
Get it over with a little bit faster, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so as long as you make like slow and steady progress on both, because on your main, I would say like main priorities there is symbol dailies, right? That's a huge time gate. That progress is just kind of required. Again, if your baseline is I do it every day, then if you skip a few days, it's not too bad. But if your baseline is like I never really get time for it, and you do it once or twice a week at most, it's just gonna take forever to get somewhere significantly. And then the problem is if that falls away, what I mentioned before, that means you're gonna have to overcompensate with like way better potentials and way better other stuff, which means you need more money, which means you need to play more, which, you know, then you need, if you can only play like a few days a week, then you need to play a lot of hours in the week or a lot of hours in a day to compensate for that. But if you play a little bit every day, that's very rewarded in the progress when it comes to arcane symbols. So yeah, when it comes to like priorities for your dailies, I would rank that very high. So in your current state, if you can do a little bit of Legion, like make just one character level 60 a day, that's fine too. Because when you look at it that way, you make one character a day, then in like 3 weeks you'll have like your whole 40 characters in there, right? That's not bad, you know. That's good progress. Even if you just go level 70, right, for the level 1 link, maybe if that fits you better. Then you know you'll hit 3k in no time. Redo the Legion board; those characters will get a lot faster. That'll help your main too. Because where are you with critical rate on your main? Because
I believe it's 98% with decent
sharp eyes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's some crit to be made, right? There's like marksman and Night Lord, and just having those on the board is already some crit. so it'll help you to get what you want. And then the further you go, the more crit you get from those sources, the more you'll be able to redo your hyperstats a little bit and divest from critical rate and go into ID and boss damage instead when you want to boss.
So right now I have this this current hyperstat setup is for grinding. When I change it over to IED and boss damage and stuff, I believe my ignore defense goes up to 89 or 90%, and then I believe in a calculator it comes out to 92.4 with the res stacks and summons.
And summons. And is that, do you have, by summons you mean familiars?
No, noble summons. Like it recalls the swords. I believe you get 10% IED to that monster, and then you get another.
Yeah, another 10, I think, from another debuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, like have the kit for Adele being good and allowing you to not need as much pressure from the outside to get stuff done. So that's a luxury you have with the character. But yeah, the more you work on Legion and links, and the more freedom you have, like min-maxing the link skills for the situation you're in, the more you can kind of go to like a unified state when it comes to hyperstats, and you don't have to constantly move it around. Like it'll be close in efficiency, close enough, because your Legion board will pick up some of the slack, link skills will pick up some of the slack, and those are easier to switch. That should be in an upcoming KMS change as well, where we'll be able to change those up more, which will also help with building out your Legion, that you don't have to like, be like, okay, tomorrow I'm doing this one, then switching over before midnight on this one, so that, you can min-max that. That's going to be more easy to plan around. But I mean, overall, since you haven't been playing all that long, like you're making solid progress on Legion. Seems like you have a good plan. Yeah, I think just the value. Sorry, Jaco.
I'm looking at your Legion guide as well, and then I use the Legion guide by Adele to kind of like progress like which places to go, how to do it, what gear I should have at that point too. So it's kind of like I primarily use your stuff, and I also use other things to kind of mix in there and
kind of supplement, wash out the details. I keep it like a little bit vague for a reason. I think it's it's not that I want people to not have the full information, but sometimes I want to make sure that the people who also like to figure stuff out a little bit by themselves don't get everything already pre-chewed and then kind of have that taken away from them, because then you can't get that back once you've lost that, So I try to find a balance there.
That's good.
But is there anything specifically on Legion and building it, maybe the grid, priorities that you had some questions about with everything that we mentioned so far?
So my primary question is like, I do have a very nice guild, and they all try and help me as much as they can, especially being a new player. And I kind of have like mixed signals of whether I should get my main to 235 or if I should keep working on Legion, because like right now I was looking and kind of going like Demon Slayer, Blaster, Luminous for those bossing links to kind of help me progress towards CRA solo, get the percent IED from Luminous and the Blaster Legion.
Yeah, more the blue area in the bossing area.
So my kind of question is, do I keep working on this Legion, or I do have the power to buy totems? Do I use totems and grind my main?
So I'll just give you both sides. So the argument that I usually have is like to do a little bit of both, right? And to slowly progress both. That usually is in mind with an event can upset that and can shift that balance, right? If it's way more beneficial to train your main, then train your main. If it's way more beneficial to work on Legion because there's a high amount of coupons available per character, also for low level characters, then do that, right? Then shift that balance and shift your time allocation a little bit. The main reason why people are like, you want to work on your main first, get to 235, is so that you have access to all of the symbol dailies, and so that you speed up all the previous symbol dailies with every new area that you unlock. On top of that, I think there's a lot of value in leveling your main because of the current Night Troop. That's to say, Night Troop is going to be the most beneficial in the last 2 weeks, right? That's when you're going to be able to get that really big experience buff on your training. Now, depending on your access to totems and everything, and your availability to train, if you're going to be around for the whole event, I think the last 2 weeks will be the most important to train in your main, and the earliest 2 weeks would still be really good, but probably would be a good idea at that point to work on your Legion. Because then you can build up your Legion first, make sure that those peripheral stats are in order, that your main doesn't have to worry about stuff like crit rate and all that, and that's all taken care of. Then you can redo your hyper stats for the situation you're in, and then you can hard focus on grinding and kind of ignore your Legion for those 2 weeks, but then you'll have the max experience benefit on your main. You'll be able to grind out to 235. You might be a little bit burned out of your main and burned out of training at that point, but that's fine, because then you can go back just doing symbol dailies and just doing all of those. That's going to be enough. And if you have any power left in you at the end of the day, then you just do a little bit of Legion to make that catch up again. So it's kind of like the difference between, that's like time allocation. The other resources that you have is mesos, right? It's like, do you invest more in star forcing or more in potential? Well, ideally, you get them up evenly, right? And whatever that number means, right? You get up to 12, you get up to epic, you get up to 15, you get up to unique, you get up to 17, you get up to legendary, something like that. But if there's an event, you shift that balance, because then your money is worth more in the other way. Same thing with this. If there's an event, you can shift your time, because your time is going to be worth more in the other thing. So I think people who already have their Legion like set up are probably like, just hard grind on your main, dude, get those levels out so you can get those symbols. But people are also still working on their Legion. It's probably a good idea now, the earliest night troop, to work on your Legion, and then save up your totems, save up reward points, then go hard on totems in the last 2 weeks on the Adele, and then knock out that 235, and then you can kind of rest on your laurels by rewarding yourself with a whole lot of symbols every day. And it will be a lot, like your whole inventory will be full. But if you build out those Legion and those links, you might be able to climb Dream Defender Tower more, right? You might be able to get a little bit better and be stronger for Spirit Savior and do that form faster. And you might be able to get strong enough to actually do the Sphere dailies once you get to 235, because I mean, make no mistake, like those monsters, when you get to Morass and Asphera, those are like 14 or 15 levels above you. And you're barely going to be making, or not even going to be making, the arcane power requirement when you just get up there. That plus the level difference, those dailies might also take a while, especially if you get like the Dark Executors or something, level 250, and you're barely 235. Damage reduction there is killer. So finding people in a guild or finding other people around to do dailies together will definitely speed that up.
Okay.
But yeah, that's and then in congruence with that, once you know that how you're going to attack the night troop when it comes to which characters you're going to use in which time, that should also allow you to have a little bit more insight on which of the attractions to level up, right? Which ones to unlock, and how to move forward in that.
Yeah, so I was actually in your stream for the entirety of those patch notes.
Yeah, that was a bit.
9 hours or whatever. But so what I did was I picked the firework event first, and like I said, I got my Kana and my 0 to 200 with that already. And then.
And which ones were you thinking to do more, like in the first week?
So, what I need to do now that I have those up is I need to get my other ones to level 131. So I was thinking about maybe getting my Evan and Aaron, or even maybe Mercedes, one of them to 131, so that way I can do that one tomorrow and kind of go from there.
So for those, the main thing for those is that 200 by itself isn't that valuable, but 210 is, right? So you have to also then be prepared to bring them to 210. If you just 200 is like where you're gonna stop, then I would prioritize the crit damage guys. So like Jet, Shade, and Hayato, right? Because those, if you get 200, boom, that's 5% crit damage. That's huge, and that payoff is immediate there. If you do want to do those experience links, that's also good. I think in general priority, getting the experience links to level 3, I would put that at the level of, if you're doing that, that makes it so that you're actually like committing to 8k. Because if you're just committing to 6k, you just want a whole board of 140s and be done with it, basically. And just get like one bonk per character, move on to the next one, kind of like that. Just to purely shit up the amount of levels that you max can, right? Like what I said before, just flooding the board with level 60s and 70s, flooding the board with like level 140 somethings, 150 somethings, just to hit that 6k so you have the full grid. Depends on if you want that 6k or if you're just like long term already like prepared to go for the 8k.
In the long term, I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I am planning to go to 8k and
Oh, you fell away from your microphone a little bit again.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah, way better. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the long term, I do plan to go for 8K.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, I just kind of want to keep steadily progressing. So one, I don't get burnt out, and two, I can still enjoy the game, and I'm not, under leveled or under geared, and I'm,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just to say, like, with an event like this, like 200, you're not done yet, right? With the Evan, you'll just have a slightly bigger Legion piece, but then those last 10 levels still be necessary. And the more you use events to kind of boost your levels, the more behind those individual characters are going to get when it comes to funding. And then being at 200, even getting that bump from 5th job skills, getting those last 10 levels will, for most people, it's like they try for like an hour, get nowhere, and then they just wait for like more leveling potions later to get the free last 10 levels. That's a way that you can do it, of course, but be aware of that reality before you commit to those characters specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
All right.
So how is your access to totems, by the way, since we did mention that? Are you good on reward points? You know where to get those?
Yeah, so I get them basically each day when I do my bosses on the mules in Maine. I usually get a couple hundred, and then obviously with my guild I'm able to do weekly, so I get some from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then also with the cash shop, I have some from that. So I'm sitting at about 7K right now, and I can usually get 2 to 4 totems per month.
2 to 4 that you buy out?
Yeah, that I buy from the shop.
And would you like to get more, or is that good enough?
I mean, I'd like to get more so I can grind more, because one totem that if I could realistically do the whole 14 or 15 or whatever it is.
15, and then you have 2 on the daily rewards as well. Yeah.
That would be great, because then obviously when I do a totem, then I get more meso, and then when I get more meso, then I can keep upgrading. And
you could just get more value from your time, right? And then since you are limited on time, you wanna squeeze the value out. I'll send you a video because someone in chat was just asking about it as well. I'll send you a video that I made on how to maximize on reward points. If you get that like set up, you'll have way more liberty to throw around totems. Plus, you might be able to use them on characters that you want to get those last 10 levels out on, for example, right? If you do go for 200 on Evan. Because now every totem has to go into your Adele, right? Purely from an efficiency standpoint. But if you have access to more, then you can be a bit more liberal with where you use them.
Yeah, so that was the other reason for me getting my Kana to 200 first. I know I need to get it to 220 to really have efficient farming, but having the availability of Kishins, that way I don't need to buy totems and I can grind out meso for the other characters on the
well, that's the main argument I would think, besides like the whole totem coverage thing, is the flexibility that you can also just do half an hour. Like, let's say you only have 2 hours to play and you did your dailies and a little bit of Legion, you already filled like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes, but you have like a little bit of time left. You could just hop on a Kana, do 15 minutes, do 20 minutes, and then peace out. You don't have to commit a totem or commit yourself to like a huge map where the looting is terrible and the overall just feeling is not good. So the flexibility factor for Kana is definitely really big. That's why I was in the beginning kind of assuming that you probably wouldn't go like the kind of farming route because of the time restraint. But then again, the irregularity of the time available and the flexibility might be a good counter argument to having it. But that kind of takes us back to like the beginning, what I said with like allocating the resources, right, and building up the accessories for the mesobtain and the drop rate. That does mean that it might be more valuable to, once you get the WSE on the Adele set, just get everything to epic and keep it epic and just try to roll for, like a cold cube, 6% stat on everything, and then do like a little bit more star forcing to get everything like 10, 11, 12 around there. But then the blunt of the meso and maybe even the brunt of the node zones early as well, to go to like siphon into the Kana so that the Kana can get online and start making good rates whenever you can play it. And then that money will come back. Again, it's a more roundabout way again than going for the drop rate and the meso accessories first and then making money faster. This is like an extra side step, but if it makes sense for your situation, then it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
But then that would slowly realign the priorities a bit. Okay. Anything else with Legion or the command or anything that's maybe unclear? Any clarification you need?
No, I think I understood it pretty well.
Okay. Good. Anything with link skills? I think it kind of logically follows from the whole command as well. But if there's anything specifically you were wondering about stacking or priorities.
I think that I understand it pretty well, the separation between bossing, farming, links and stuff like that. That's pretty clear. I mean, your guide has it.
Okay,
it's
good.
written out.
It's good to double check every now and then if it if it makes sense to everyone as much as I think it does when I put it out there, of course, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have the ID in the back of our heads, but so for ID, like the main things that will help you out is like bigger Legion, the correct links, and then specifically later once you get the Helix, right, you get the superior set, that chunk of ID is going to be massive. And until then, it's fine to have a line of ID on like your emblem or maybe even your secondary or your weapon if you get it to legendary. Just to have one line just to help you with the bosses early on, especially if you want to get to soloing CRA.
I have that already. I have
okay. Yeah, I'm just scrolling down.
35 IED on my secondary, 40 on my emblem, and then obviously my weapon. I didn't know if it was efficient to get the Fafnir up to legendary, but especially because I'm pretty close to Abso because of my guild carries. They carry me.
Yeah, that's the main determinant, is like how quickly are you going to move away from it, right? Step one is like, if you invest in something, is like percentage-wise, how much investment versus how much quote-unquote final damage, right? How much is my damage going to go up from this? And then the second part definitely is how quickly am I going to move away from this? And then part third is how much of the investment can I transfer over to the next thing? So when it comes to investing in Fafnir, mainly the priority would be there. What I would do is just Occult Cube for a line of attack, and then that's enough when it comes to potential. But flame-wise, you're good on that. Like, it's a flame that gives you something, gives you strength, gives you some attack. That's all good. Star Force-wise, you can go beyond, provided there's an event, because you could just transfer hammer it into the Abso and then recover. You can recover the full potential, you can recover the soul, and you can recover all of the Star Force -1. So when it comes to investing in a weapon, Star Force would be, I think, the safest bet there. Okay. But I would roll like an attack line, because the strength on a weapon is just, it's basically not even a line if you compare it to how good an attack percentage. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to the secondary and the weapon, of course, you're still like limited on resources because of income and because of your level. So when it comes to the emblem, I think that one's perfect. You get a huge chunk of IED that's good, and it's got a line of attack, and the third line even does something. It's not damage, so that one is just fine. The secondary is a little bit unfortunate. Like, you shouldn't be needing another line of IED. For now, it can be enough, but the line of Allstat is, like suboptimal because it could potentially be attack and stuff. And the boss damage line is only a 20% line, which is also like the lowest of the boss damage lines. So when it comes to rerolling anything, of course, if you're saying you're close to Abso, save money for the Abso weapon first, right? And then see what that run turns out to. But when it comes to the secondary, that one definitely has the potential to roll something that will help your account quite a bit more with pretty limited investment, I'm thinking. Even just like one line of attack and a line of boss, or 2 lines of attack, or a line of attack and a line of damage, or a line of attack and 2 lines of stat, or something like that, would already be like a big improvement on killing normal monsters. And right now, you want to make sure that you don't specify too much for bossing, but make sure that your damage on normal monsters is good enough so that you can kill quickly, so you can level quickly, and then you can boss.
Okay.
But so how close would you say you're to the weapon?
Well, I have like 1 week left. I have 5 and 5 of each Lotus Damien thing, their drop, and the main thing is I just started doing weeklies, so
yep.
I'd probably have a few more weeks of doing it just to get a weapon, and
that's the value of the Kana as well, right?
Because the Kana, weeklies.
Yeah, the Kana can do the weeklies now. Yeah, and then you can transfer over. Yeah, that's a good thing, especially with the guild, to like exchange. Be like, yo, I'll Kishin you, you Kishin me. You exchange, and then you can just double up the speed. That's a very valuable, just speed up mechanic for the whole progress towards Abso. Yeah. Is the rest? Yeah. So when it comes to familiars, are you familiar? Good word choice. With what to do and all that.
That is probably the thing that I am worst at out of
Mm-hmm.
everything. So I I know how to get them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you get the little card, it drops the card. I know how to upgrade them,
You
but it's
feel
like
them. Mm-hmm.
where, when, how should I be doing that? Because I know now that my Adele is at a point where I can't get familiars until 235, right? Or I can't get any drop.
230, I think. Yeah, Morass also drops them. Yeah, but you won't be really training there. Maybe at the spiders. I think Adele does okay there. But you probably won't be strong enough to train there for a while. You'll just be relegated to Arcana. Yeah.
So it's like, what should I be doing to get that? Because I have one, and I mean I got 2% attack on it, but it's, like
It's something, but yeah, that's not what you want.
Anything else.
Yeah, the main thing is that we want to make sure that we can get out of that IED on the secondary, right? So we want to get the IED, and basically when it comes to early, because I have this familiar guide here, I'll link it to you as well. You can follow along. So it goes over like all the information with the tiering up. You said you understood most of that. It goes into the badges a little bit. Also has a link to like which badges I think are useful to work on.
Yep.
You have at least one badge, right? Because I think, oh no, yeah. So you want to get at least one badge so you unlock the second slot. That's going to be pretty important early on.
Okay.
Don't worry about the third slot until you get to like Labyrinth or something like 250, or maybe like Moonbridge 245. Then maybe you want to start thinking about the third slot. But until then, just one extra badge. Just unlock one badge. Just get a really easy set, and then just get the second slot. So early on. So you hunt common and rare cards from maps with high spawn and kill rate, right? Which is basically just whatever the popular training maps are. So any cards you get when you're leveling Legion, just throw all of those cards into the storage and reveal them all in the Adele. And what you're going to be looking for is any kind of healing, any kind of drop rate, and kind of IED percentage. Those three is what you're looking for. But the IED being the important. Most of the drop rate you'll find is like drop rate by a small amount, which is like yay. Rare cards can get amount, right? Yeah, but that's like a large amount is from epic and unique, and that's what you're going to be hunting when you're at like 245, when you're in Moonbridge, when you're getting hundreds of cards, and then you're going to be fusing them and revealing them. That's when you're trying to go for a large drop rate. You can either get and this goes into this as well with like how like how drop rate works and how it all stacks and what all the percentages mean and what the numbers mean. And this also goes into the familiars, like this is what the percentages are depending on what the name of the line is. So from rare, you can get this one, common and rare, by a small amount. 30% is nice. The one early on that's like a gold mine, if you can get from rare, is like increase item drop rate to 50%. That's really, really good early on. But yeah, if you can find one of these when you're training, and then you can maybe use the spider for some extra attack, you know, just to clear a little bit faster. But mainly what you're looking for is the 15% IED. And then once you get these, then you can move out of the emblem basically. And then you can just go full attack on that one. Anything that's bad you extract, which is like 99% of the ones you open up, right? And you know how fusing works. You have to have the same cards. So since you're working on Legion, it's going to be a bunch of the different cards. So the only value they have is extraction and points, so that either they can come back as familiar essence, or maybe you can buy booster packs if you get enough for that. And then booster packs have an okay chance of giving epics. But they also give like commons and rares, but they can also give you pretty rare cards that you would need for your badge sets later. So make sure you'll always double check with the badges and with the sets. And you can find that here, right? You can find which badge sets that you're going to be looking for. So double check with these sets to see like, and particularly the bosses, right? Are you quite familiar enough with the monsters to know like which ones are bosses and which ones are regular monsters?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So like if it's one of the bosses, those are like the high priorities. Typically all of the regular monsters, you know, you just go there, you kill for like a few minutes and you usually get one. But like the mini bosses, those are the real things that are stopping you. And that's why when it comes to the priorities, they exist here and here mainly. That's where the bosses are. Here is just monsters straight up, so those are super easy. And here is where the mini bosses start entering the badges, so that's why they get quite a bit harder there. And here, that's where the level requirement is higher. So that's like 245, 250, 255. Yeah, obviously that's not available for everyone. So,
it's a little ways down the road, most likely.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're going to be boosting to 235, you're still only going to be like scratching the surface of like familiar area. It's mostly once you build up arcane power, right? Because you want that extra 50% to be able to kill in those areas, but that 50% chunk gets huge the higher you go. And if you want to go to Moonbridge, like typically people go to VC3. That's also the highest level map in the whole area. Like base requirement is 730, which means for the 50% extra, you need 1,080. Or even more, 1,095, so like 1,100. Yeah, that's probably a little bit ways off. So that's got to be a whole bunch of weeks of logging in, doing the symbol dailies, and then working on your Legion in the meantime. And now you're like, okay, I want to boost, I want to start grinding again. There's a good event maybe. I want to start leveling my main and go hard again. By that time, you'll have like 4, 5, 6k Legion, and then you'll see that huge boost of having, gotten maybe nodes over time, maybe from your Kana, having maybe gotten some from an event, having way more arcane power, having the peripheral stats from your Legion and your links, and maybe funneled some money back from the Kana to investing and getting some more uniques and maybe even some legendaries. And then you'll find your character has made a huge boost over time. But you'll also notice that in being able to do your dailies faster, specifically on those high level monsters. And you'll level over time from doing your dailies as well. That always helps, of course.
Absolutely.
So let's see if there's anything else on familiars.
So basically what I got from that was this guide, click that, and just get the ones from when I'm farming my mules.
Yeah, start there. And then, yeah, I think there's like no point, especially not as an Adele, as some other classes, if you're trying to do like solo on a Kana or something, it might be better to like just park yourself in Fez 2 and just farm cards for a few days until you get the ID ones, because Kana ID is just terrible. And if you want to solo bosses, you're just going to need a bunch of it, even for, maybe not for 3-door, but definitely for Velum and everything beyond that. So then I would say maybe go farm some cards. But for everyone else, I would just say take what you get from the Legion, and then you'll be able to farm later, especially if you have a solo class like Adele that doesn't need those peripheral stats.
Okay. So from there, I think another one of my questions was, with my current stats, everyone tells me that, I definitely have enough damage and IED to do 3-door, but mechanically, I just suck. And I just die out. So, do you have any tips or advice on what I should be doing for that?
Yeah, I do have I think I have a video specifically with Adele doing the bosses. So
I believe I watched that one, level 206, right?
Yeah, but like on the low 200s, yeah. What are there things that you saw where you're like, I don't know how you do that, or I try it and it still doesn't work? Like what well, we could go one boss at a time, like for Queen, like what kills you there? Is it the healing? Is it the debuff stacks?
So the main thing that kills me is like, I go to dodge, and then even if I dodge it, I feel like I'm out of the way, and I still get hit, and then I just get one shot, and then I die, and then I get tilted, and then I just want to kill her. And then,
Yeah, rage respawn is a bad one. Well, I saw you mentioned HMAG as well in there, I think. That's one where rage respawning is the main source of failure.
Yeah. So that's why I'm also going back on Legion links a little bit for that. The resistance link, right? You have the invincibility.
Yes, that's a very, very good one. Yeah.
So it's like, is it worth it for before I even try to be soloing those to get that? Because I tend to die a lot when I respawn, and then I just get really mad.
Yeah, which is understandable. Yeah. Yeah. Even just like 2 levels in the resistance link will already make a huge difference. Even if it's just for the fact that you're trying to get better, it's very hard to get better if you get punished so sillily for something that seems not really your fault. Like you're just clicking respawn and you respawn into something else that one-shots you again. That's pretty unforgiving if you're just trying to get better, even if you're in practice mode. Like it doesn't feel good. The main thing I would do, so there's like different stages. If you're having trouble with the bosses, is the main thing I would almost try is aim for running out the clock of the boss.
Okay.
Try to do that. Just focus solely on surviving, looking at the boss. So making your skills invisible, maybe putting on blade damage, right? So the numbers go onto one stack, so you have more visibility, and just purely look at what is the boss doing. How quickly do I have to respond? Where can I stand? Where can I not stand? And just try to run out the clock. And then
so right now, what I'm doing, is I'm running practice mode, and for like the first 5 minutes, what I'm trying to do is just take 0 damage. So I'm just like trying to dodge all their attacks and kind of learn like mechanics and what they do at each stage. And then after that, I try and go ham and like, you know, get all my stacks up and then full out attack them. And I'm getting pretty close. The one that I have defeated in practice mode so far is Von Bon. And
he's the easiest, I would say, of the bunch. Yeah. Once you jump you dodge a jump, right, and then you don't get pushed into balls at the end. Those are like the main scary parts. Do you ever get killed by the teleport thing that he does?
I have been killed multiple times.
So for the teleport, I would say one of the tips is do you know what his animation is for making you get teleported? Have you identified that one?
I have not, no.
Because it's like a few of his animations look the same, but like he closes his eyes and he's got his wand and he's like waving it around.
When he like kind of spins it in a circle in front of him.
Yeah, but he waves it like a little, like when he shoots out the bolt, it's like pretty fast. But when he does it like a little bit longer, that's when you know he's gonna teleport you. So what happens is if he creates a safe spot of view of where he's gonna teleport you, make sure you're not too far away from him. There's like a certain distance that's like the lethal zone, because the timing of him teleporting you to it plus him maybe jumping can coincide perfectly, and then you're just always dead. You have to iframe basically at that point to make sure that you don't get pulled or that you don't die. So if you're really far away from him, you can dodge it. If you're pretty close to him, you can dodge it, but if you're too close, you can get smacked, right? So there's like a middle zone where it's like a little bit dangerous. So one thing you could do when he's going to teleport you is, while he's doing it, right before the animation finishes, jump to his other side, and then he'll usually either he wind up a jump, and then you might have to iframe, right? You might have to use your Ether Guard or maybe even your Infinity Blade, just to not die. But if he winds up an attack and you keep and you jump over that, once you get teleported to way the other side of him than he's facing, and that's it. That point is way safer.
Okay.
So that's one thing. The other thing you could do is up jump and put the safe spot like high up in the map, so that if he does jump and coincide with you teleporting, you'll be up in the air and you can't get hit by his attack.
Okay, so kind of use the I forget what the skill itself is called. I'm kind of suck with that, but the one where you double tap up and it holds you in the air.
Yeah, just up jump can be enough if your timing is good, but you might have to float a little bit if that increases the timing of you hitting that sweet spot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if he's teleporting you. The other thing is that if you preemptively iframe on that teleport skill, it just doesn't create that safe space at all, and he doesn't get to teleport you, or that safe state of you, right? And he doesn't get to teleport you at all. You just resist it. That's also possible if you combine it with... I don't think Ether Guard works, because Ether Guard is now like an ignore damage, right? Not necessarily an iframe.
It only ignores the first attack, I believe.
Yeah, so then you would have to use Infinity Blade for that, the startup iframe.
Okay. So it seems to me my worst one right now by far is Crimson Queen.
It's a fire stacks probably, right?
Yeah, so what I'm trying to do is I always try and stay behind her. But even if I try and time my float to launch me back behind her when she's about to attack, I'm still dying.
Yeah, because if you're too close to her, you can get, and you try to go the other side, the breath will still hit you. And if you're too far away, you can't get all the way to the other end if the corner of the map is holding you back from distance, right?
Yeah.
So there's a few things you can do. One thing is that if you get hit by the breath, even if you don't die to it, but you get hit by it, does Ether Guard now immune to like ignore the damage, or is it like counting as an iframe? Because that's one thing you can check, is if you can Ether Guard the breath, you might be able to tank it, but also take off the fire stacks from you.
Okay.
So that's something to double check. The other thing is, I like to fight Queen while standing right on top of her. Because if you're attacking and she does the swipe animation, if you up jump, you completely dodge it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's something you can try, see if that works for you.
Okay.
The other one for like the different stages is definitely like the fire is just really annoying, but you do have a lot of HP as an Adele, so that's not too bad, right? Because you have big healing potions. The main thing is save your was it like Florin Will, right? Save that one for the Zombify stage, right? If she does the Zombify animation, Florin Will first, then you can just keep healing, so you don't have to die to the Zombify mode. If you don't have that one, if that one's off cooldown, make sure you hold your Infinity Blade and pop the Infinity Blade iframe instead to immune the Zombify. That's going to be important. Okay. Otherwise, that's like a free life lost. So it'll be unfortunate that you have to use your Infinity Blade for that. But if you know you're in that situation when your Florin Will is down and she goes into the Reflect stage, keep your Infinity Blade, keep your Bind hopefully, and then maybe you can get like a mini burst out of it. That being said, hold your Ruin. Ruin is going to be very important to kill the mirror in the phase. As soon as you see her do like a spawn, right, when she's in the heart phase, and you don't see hearts, immediately start looking for the mirror, plop down the sword, and hit it, plop down the sword, hit it once or twice, and then pop the Ether Guard so that even if she does get to maybe try to zombify you, hopefully the Ether Guard like blocks it, and then you can do like a few more attacks and it should die. The main thing is when you plop down any skill, and you probably plop down Rain of Destruction as well, right? Make sure you're out of range for her swipe because she seals you and then all of your damage misses. So that one is very important, that you create enough distance between her and you when you do plop down a skill to kill the mirror, because nothing's worse than actually hitting it, actually propping on your skill, and then just all of the damage missing because she's just like, yeah, she just fucks you.
Nope.
Yeah, she just denies everything. Yeah, and then you still get hearts, and then if you die to the mirror, she heals a bunch, and that tends to. When it comes to tilting things, that's like very high up on the list. You almost want her to summon hearts at that point and die to the heart, so that at least you don't die to the mirror, so you can't... But that's another thing, right? If you do respawn with that resistance, you don't immediately get hit into the hearts or into a breath, or... yeah, that's... the resistance link, even just at level 2 or something, is going to be enough to make sure... Always, when you're dead, always be like, okay, recoup, look at the top right, am I missing any buffs? Right? What am I going to do? Yep. What stage am I in? Before you respawn. Never do the rage respawn. Like, you could do the rage respawn, but then know what you're doing and just, get it out of your system. But
yep.
but in a real run, that's the time to, like, what is it? Collect yourself.
Recoup
and come up.
First.
Yeah, recoup. Exactly. Yeah.
So what would you recommend for resistance that would probably be the easiest to get or fastest to get done?
Mechanic also has buff duration, so that's why that one is pretty high up on the list. The easiest is probably Wild Hunter. It's very straightforward. You just hold down the main attack skill and you just walk around and things die. So that one's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Battle Mages and Blast are a little bit more button smashy intensive, so I'd probably do Mechanic and the Wild Hunter for the versatility of the Mechanic. And Wild Hunter Legion block also later does come into play, and is one of the simpler, so probably those two.
Okay. Wild Hunter Mechanic. Write that down. Alright.
Yeah, that'll give you just, enough breathing room. I advise everyone who's starting CRA and above to get at least a little bit of resistance link, yeah. It'll just...
Sweet.
Yeah, facilitate that quite a bit. And Von Bond we talked about. Anything with Clown that you...
So, with him, I'm actually pretty decent at dodging, his hats, and I know the different hat colors and when to attack him, when not to attack him. And I mean, I haven't made it to the split on him yet, where he splits. I've died out before that.
Okay, yeah, that's another one that's like good practice to just dodge, and keep attack. And you can do you do kiting at all?
What is that?
So, like, in video games, it's like a general term where you, like, keep a certain distance between you and the target, so he can't really hit you, but you can hit him?
Yeah, so, I stand just at the range for cleave, so I don't get hit by his umbrella, where
yeah, because that push is really, yeah.
But there's some times where I don't have it, like, gauged properly yet, so I still get hit, and then I get pushed, then I get stuck in a hat, and then I die.
Yeah. One thing to also kind of experiment with, which could help for that, is to just, like I said before, right, just to only do movement first instead of attacking, and kind of find where that sweet spot is, and just move just out of it and back into it, and just out of it and back into it, and see if you can keep him in place without getting hit at all. because that will help you later with bosses like Lotus, because Lotus has that same thing, right, where he does that giant push thing. But if you're just within range, you just move out of it and just move back into it, nothing happens. You just completely dodge it. Same thing with Hard Magnus and with his blue swipe. If you know that distance, you just move 2 pixels out of it, 2 pixels back into it, nothing happens. And it's all about, just knowing the pixels on your screen and having that experience. So yeah, the more times it goes wrong, hopefully it helps.
In the carries I've done so far for Lotus, I've actually died. I've only died once out of, I think, 3 total carries now, and that's only like 1 death. Like I didn't die out, and I tend to actually be better at that one with the first stage laser and everything, and I can actually time it where I jump up when he does the electricity across the bottom of the field.
Yeah, and you can float, and by the time you get back down,
so
it's gone.
I feel like I'm better at that one, even though everyone says that boss is harder than, the CRA bosses. But I guess it's different for each person.
Well, it's also different because the fight is probably shorter than if you were fighting it, so more stuff can go wrong, and you're probably just focusing on the survivability there rather than because you're not the one that's doing all the damage, right? Yeah. So it would be like in a similar level to you going into CRA and trying to just survive the whole time, and then you'd be like, oh, CRA isn't that hard, but it's always the mix of both surviving and positioning and dealing damage and optimizing your rotations with your skills all at once. That combination of things is what makes it a lot harder. And for Lotus, I would say phase 1 and 2, especially on Adele, are kind of a cakewalk, but it's always phase 3 that it comes down to that is way harder. Because that phase, especially in the beginning, is way longer. A lot more things can go wrong. You can get unlucky with some purple balls. You get pushed into a platform landing on your head. That was the only platform. You float somewhere and the Demolishizer spawns over your head. Like, there's more situations where every single thing goes wrong and there's no out anymore. And if you have enough of those, you die out. And unless you are doing 1 and 2 flawlessly and you end up in phase 3 with all 5 of your lives, you can get into a real pickle there.
Yep. Okay.
So that's probably mostly why people say that. Comparatively, it's just it's more difficult. But with those bosses, and I say specifically starting with CRA, once you get those mechanics down, you'll realize and you'll recognize a bunch of those mechanics for other later bosses. Like the clown push in Lotus, and it comes back once you go do Will. He has got like that same push that you want to dodge. Once you get used to those types of mechanics, every new boss, even though it's more difficult, you'll have a baseline of like, oh, I recognize this, I recognize this. And once you see the animations, you'll already like 60 to 70%, you're like, okay, I can get past this. And then you can focus on that other 30%, other 30 to 40% that's harder and that's new, and then how to counter that. Have you tried Vellum at all?
I have tried Vellum, and I obviously didn't kill him, but I mean, I have the general understanding of, when he does the breath, how to dodge that, the bikes that fall down, how to dodge. I'm pretty decent, especially that one's kind of straightforward. I feel like that's a good setup for one of the bosses.
Yeah. The rocks is the main thing that gets people in the beginning. The rocks and then the timing of the tails. Once you get those two under control, it's mainly just the war of attrition until he gets to like the second part of his HP bar, right? Like below 50%. Once he starts going to the side, because then you can like commit the ruin on it every time, hit him a bunch of times, get the noble summons and blossom out every time right when he's in the corner. In the beginning, it's just like he's up there for a second or two and then he's down again. It's really hard, especially with the combination of noble summons and blossom, to commit that damage, because that's a big part of your damage. But he's never around long enough to get hit by that, so you can like hit him with the noble summons or like throw out some kind of throw out a blossom and hope that 1 or 2 of them hit. But once he stays out for the fireballs, hitting him with a full ruin, full noble summons, blossoms hits, like that's when you get most of your damage. So you just waiting him out until he goes below 50%, and then you go hard on him. But if you don't have any like specific things with that you're struggling with, then adding the links, the resistance link skill, and just working on a little bit more IED with the links and everything should get you, and then hopefully with the familiars, should get you into range of killing him, no problem. I think the main thing stopping you there is the levels of your boost nodes and the access to boost nodes, because that's basically, even though your level might be higher, you might be at the same level or lower than my character was in the video, right? So even though, you know, it's only 206 versus 218 and you feel like you should be able to do it already, it's very easy around those levels for me to just like, I mean, I didn't do that with the Adele specifically, but I could throw like 500 nodes at a character and make him like way stronger than someone 20 levels higher than me, and then level doesn't really mean anything at that point. At that point, you just always want to,
you get the final damage increase, but then you also get the IED and the extra attack with the higher level node, no?
Yeah, if you get it to 40, yeah, then you get the extra 20 IED on the skill specifically as well, yeah. That helps a lot, especially on Vellum and up, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as you pull back to the game stages and those are the numbers that you look at, then you're doing like a fair comparison. Otherwise, it's kind of it's kind of unfair.
Because right now I can kind of damage him and I can dodge the attacks, and then I can, when it gets to like a certain stage, I bind him, and then I'm able to get my stacks up and recall and everything and do damage. But I mean obviously my damage at this point isn't really at the point where I can efficiently kill him, pretty much.
Yeah. Being able to kill and being able to like reliably, repeatedly kill and have a good time are two very different things, yeah. That's why with Project CRA I go for the first, not for the second. Because if I know I could do it, like that's good enough for me and I move on. And then if I ever want to do it again, I'm gonna have to throw more funding into it because I'm not committing like 20 minutes to every single Root Abyss boss. Like I've got better stuff to do. If I know I can do it, that's like that knowledge is worth. But a second time, that's not worth the time ever. So yeah, especially if it's your main, you want to see that steady progress, and hopefully you will start seeing that as well, right? As you commit more time to your account, every single week you're doing the bosses is just going to be faster. You're going to get better at it, better character control, better boss insight, and your characters are going to get stronger, and it's just you're going to see that progress steadily.
Yeah, I mean, I probably saw my biggest stat jump last week into this week, because I went from, I think I was at 5k stat, and then I went up to 9.5, and then I re-rolled my emblem because I actually rolled 3-line strength on my emblem, and I re-rolled it for IED and attack, and I ended up getting that. So I ended up losing some stat, so I went down to 9k, but it ended up going up a ton in
damage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another thing where you're like hovering over an item and you look at the damage difference. In the beginning, it's pretty straightforward, like number go up, good. But yeah, it gets more nuanced as you go, of course.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest jump I've had, and that it just felt good to finally have a jump like that. That's why I'm kind of doing this, because now I'm at a point where, okay, now that jump happened. Where do I go from here for time management and efficiency? And obviously, you're laying out pretty good for me on that, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. Do we want to get to all the equips? Could you have like tips for casual newbie player? I see.
Yeah. So like, now that I have my emblem and secondary, and now you're saying get my rings to legendary.
Yeah. So either on the Kana first, if you want to commit there, or on this character, depending on where you think you're going to be committing most of your time. I don't know if getting the access to more totems, if the video helps you out with that, if that's going to shift that balance at all. If it does, then just commit on the Adele more on the accessories. Otherwise, just stick to the Kana for the flexibility plus the Kishin availability.
Yeah, because I'm in the Adele mains Discord too, and I mean, I see people there and they're like, well, you could just stick to your Adele, and honestly, there's people, I mean, obviously a lot higher level that are getting, over a bill per, is it hour or totem? I don't know.
Depending on where, some people get close to a bill. They like rival kind of rates. Yeah. The problem is the not expandability. What is the number? What is the word when you are trying to make it go up in number? I don't know. The reproducibility. Like the problem is like just because you could do it for an hour or for 2 hours, it stops at some point when you don't have the totems anymore, right? So that's like the main thing there, that and the flexibility. But yeah, that's what I do. Like I don't have a kind of farmer on my account. I've done everything without like a dedicated farming character. Always just working on the accessories, using totems, grinding out on the character, and redistribute scalability. Thank you. And just redistributing the rewards and all of the resources from one character to other characters steadily. And I've done all of it without a farming character as well. But that playstyle doesn't work for everyone, and some people just don't have the patience for it either, and they just want to brute force through it. Depends on what kind of person you are and just what works for you.
Sweet.
Yeah, tips for casual newbie player. Like, I have the exclamation mark new in my chat. That has some advice. There's probably like a bunch of new small things with every single thing that is probably in the commands for a specific topic, but like to say right now, like, oh, these are like 10 tips that everyone should like always do. Yeah, like exclamation mark new has a bunch of them. But there's probably a bunch more that I know, but you'd have to like bring up a specific topic, and then I would be able to give you like 1 or 2 specific tips for that topic, you know? Like off the top of my head, I can really say like, oh yeah, here are the indisposable ones that everyone must know. That's a little tricky for me on the spot. But I don't know if there's any topic where you feel like maybe on how to tackle that there's like a big gap or something. Like one major thing, I guess, is like figure out transfer hammer, know exactly how that works and where you wanna use it. That's a very powerful tool in progressing you through your account and saving you a lot of money in the long run. So transfer hammering, I think, is a huge thing. I have a video on that as well that lays that out. It also talks about transposing. Just be aware of that, how that works exactly, so that your account is like ready for that if you want to get into it. That's probably a big one. And the other one in general is like the access to arcanes in the long run. If you have access to the boss runs, if you're training, you're going to get droplets. In the future, they're going to be freely purchasable from mesos at all times. So like arcane is there, even if it seems like light years away at this point. Arcane is there in the not super distant future, which means just don't, especially in terms of like Star Force, but also in potential and Flames, don't overinvest into Abzo. Just 17 star legendary with like 1.5 to 2 lines and like an okay flame is more than good enough for Abzo. Focus more like Star Forcing wise on CRA and maybe on accessories where you can, and hold on to that until you switch into full arcane, and then really get the spending.
Okay. So my other question for accessories is I'm probably at this point like 2 days out from being able to buy a superior either ring or pendant. Which one should I be going for? Because right now I have obviously the Chaos Horntail pendant, and I also have a Mechanator. I haven't gotten lucky with a Dominator.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I tend to run the bosses that I run every day because of my time is I usually run Arcanium, and I'll usually run like Hard Von Bon, and you know, just whatever gives me like the most meso from the boss drop.
From the crystal, yeah. Yeah, try like Madman or normal Magnus or those kind of guys.
Yeah, I can run Enmag in like, I don't know, it's like 10 seconds. I just bind him and I just burst it down, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
So.
They got some shards too, so for long term, like normal Queen, normal Vellum, normal Magnus, and normal Arc. Like that's a good 4 bosses to do every day if you have some time. Yeah, for the boss shards for the long term, and then of course for the odds for like the Dominator and the Primal on Arc, very valuable. And then besides that, I would just focus on weeklies on the character. Yeah. Get like an overview of where everything's at. You've got the belt, that's nice.
I also have earrings, so that I get those too. So
oh,
like
nice.
I mainly want to replace. Let's see what's the ring called. Platinum. Yeah, the platinum cross ring. Cause I mean, it's kind of garbage.
Yeah, it's kind of garbage. Yeah.
Replace that first. Obviously, I have the noble Ifas with 9% stat on it. Has 6 strength, 3 all stat. Silver Blossom. That one, I'm obviously going to replace that eventually because that one can only get up to 10 stars. Then obviously I have Kana's Treasure, which I haven't gotten to 15 yet, but I rolled 6% on that as well. And those are, I feel like I'm going to have at least the Noble and Kana's for a little while. Yeah,
I'd probably go for the ring then. Makes most sense to switch to Platinum Cross because you get access to another item with potential versus just Star Force. Yeah. The main thing is I wouldn't like write off the Silver Blossom yet. When it comes to like getting items to Legendary and trying to get drop in Mezzo, you probably do that item last, because if we do get to the new big event and you can get some strong rings there, ideally of course you want to get those to Legendary and invest in drop or Mezzo with some stat on that over the Silver Blossom. If you can skip having to invest in a Silver Blossom, then try that, but don't necessarily write it off. On most of my characters I end up with a Legendary Silver Blossom ring that ends up giving me drop or Mezzo. The only ones that I don't end up with that is if I got access to a bunch of event rings, and then you prioritize those instead. So just because it goes up to 10 stars, not necessarily bad. You just need something that can hold that utility. You need something that can get you to drop her the Mezzo, and if it's a Silver Blossom ring, it's that one, you know. Yeah, because the Platinum Cross ring just ain't gonna do it. But I'd probably go for the ring, yeah, to go for the Spear ring. That makes the most sense.
Okay, and then also the condensed power crystal I'll probably have for a while too, so I should probably get that to Legendary with drop on it.
Yeah, I think it's fine, especially if you haven't started Commerce yet and all that stuff. Even if you have started it, if you want to go long term, your first like 700 dineros are gonna go into upgrading your boat so that you can long term start farming crazy amounts of dineros to get back. That's all explained in the Commerce command. But because of that, I think it's totally fine to go Legendary on your Zakum accessories, and because the main thing is, if you bump them to Legendary, like right now they give 6% stat. If you get them to Mezzo or drop with one line of strength, like even if it's like 6% all stat, then stat-wise it's an improvement. If it's 9%, then stat-wise it's also an improvement. So you're not going down from where you are now. And that's the main thing to think about. People are, usually look at like, what is the missed potential based on what it could be? But what you want to look at is like, is this in general, is this an upgrade? If it's an upgrade, you're going to get a little bit stronger and you're getting the utility out of it. And those are also the pieces you don't want to really rely on the damage for. So, this is a good time to jump. Because let's say that you got them all unique and they were already 15%, then it feels bad to do it, because then it's going to be a downgrade in strength and you're going to feel like you have to compensate with other pieces, right? So now it's a good time to work on it. I just do one item at a time. If you have unique stuff, focus on that first, right? So the Horntail Pennant, I would prioritize that one, because that one is the closest to already getting the line. Just get one line of drop or Mezzo, move on to the next one. And then if you end up with like more than 5 Mezzo or more than 4 drop, look at whatever piece doesn't have strength along with it, and then re-roll that one first.
Okay. So should I be
pieces?
Using
earrings, I guess. But you have the Horntail earrings? Wait, am I missing them?
I have Superior earrings.
Superior earring, yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, I saw Horntail. I don't see them in here. Yeah, but are those also like epic, or?
Those are. I thought I put that in there. Those are currently epic 6%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just go by unique and then just go by whatever is giving you the least bonus on epic, and then, just whatever is the lowest damage loss and the highest potential for gains, one at a time. And then, you won't notice your damage going up from that, but you'll notice your gains, especially if you also, get to more totems. You'll notice the gains go up a lot. And as your Legion grows and you start popping some Legion wealth coupons as well, during the totems while you're training, that Mezzo increase is going to be quite staggering, I think you'll find.
Because I think right now I'm getting like 100 mil per hour on a totem on my Adele. Which, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. It's
not great. It's when you look at it just like as how much money it is, it's a lot of money, but it could be so much more. I had the same thing with my Cannoneer. Like if I would train with a Cannoneer, I think I would get around that. So I recently made the big investment. I mean, I did everything in one go, so it was like 10 bill or something, so it was quite substantial. But now I have that 5 Mezzo and a little bit of drop. And now I was training, and I think the average, like I would get like 100 mil an hour, but instead I think I got like 250, closer to 300 instead, with the combination of those things. So that's
obviously that's a big jump.
Huge jump, yeah. And that's only like going to a new area now, not being able to one-shot yet. So once I'm able to one-shot, it should probably get closer to 400, maybe even go north of that. So that'll be, that's a good prospect. And yeah. But again, like the nodes and the symbols are the more important part there. Those will allow you to really capitalize on those new areas and on those new monsters as soon as you reach them. So that's why those are the underlying basis that is very important to uphold. Anything else with equips, or like specifically the path you were wondering about? Maybe like Star Force and stuff.
Basically, let me just recap on this. So, weapon secondary, try and roll attack on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I would hold off on the secondary until you get the familiars, right?
yeah.
To back up the ID. Yeah.
Weapon, at least get that to legendary Star Force stats. That way I can
Mm-hmm.
transfer that later.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm gonna
Well,
probably
don't get it
ring
to
next.
legendary, right? Did you say on the Fafnir?
No, I said Star Force it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just to make sure.
And then to get to legendary, on accessories, get those up for drop if I can. Get the ring, Helix ring next, because I might be able to get that tonight actually.
Yeah, we're in 600 something. I saw. I think, right?
For what, coins?
Yeah,
I'm
coins,
a lot higher than what I'm in there now. I think I'm at 530 in this photo.
Okay, yeah.
Or let's see, yeah, 535. And I'm over 600 now.
Right, yeah, it's 700. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Man, it's so steep. I remember the old prices. Ugh.
Yeah, so get that and farm Meso so I can get those to legendary for more Meso.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, if you want to go long term on a character, then do consider Commercy. It's not the most fun thing to do, and most people do slack with it. It's one of those things where if you only start it when you want to have access to it, it's gonna feel like it's taken forever. But if you slowly work it up on your way through, then by the time you want it, you'll have access, so you can immediately start with it. That's why also one of my... Oh yeah, go for it.
I did the whole Commercy storyline already.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now I have 81 of the dineros.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, I stopped doing. I did the storyline and I did it for like 2 days, I think, and then I just stopped doing voyages.
Yeah.
But so should I continue doing that on a daily basis, or should I focus on?
Yeah, so if you're like committed, you're like, okay, the Adele's actually really cool. I can do everything that I want with it. I don't find any other character that's really more fun. Because one of the things will be that if you try other characters, some characters will have some cool stuff, right, that Adele doesn't have. But if you play them for like 3-4 days, you'll be like, okay, it does have this one thing, but it doesn't have these 6 other things that I like about Adele. So overall, I still like the Adele more. That can also happen, and then you just switch back. Cause with Commercy, it's more like you could do the short-term approach where you just get your accessories and get out. And you could do the longer-term approach where you build up your boat and then build for the long term when you're going like past 18, 19, 20 stars on stuff, and then that'll be more efficient that way. If you're still kind of on the fence on where you're going to take the character and how far you're going to go, you can just set yourself up to just get to the level 2 boat and then just sit on your dineros at that point. And then be like, okay, I'm not going to commit hard, but I do want to get some damage accessories just so I could be a bossing mule or something. There's a good chance you're strong enough once you get the legendary Sakum accessories anyway, and then you don't have to buy them. Or you're like, okay, I definitely want to commit, invest more into the boat, and then send it that way. So you can kind of keep your options open.
So the other thing is getting the, obviously the Pat Mark and Dominator to transpose onto those, correct?
Yeah, that's basically the way you want to look at that is like once you get like the full Helix set, once you're getting everything to 17 stars and legendary, that's when you also want to start. That's when you also want to be around the point of transposing Dominator into the Dominator pendant and introducing that to the set, so that basically you switch out of the entire bossing accessory set and you replace it completely with a combination of Helix and Sweetwater stuff.
Okay.
So for the Mark is just like whenever it comes, like you want to basically keep a note for that contingency, but it's not something you count on because the drop rate is just too low. It's not reliable enough as a progress. Most people get the the monocle to like 17, 18, 19, some people even at 21 before they even see a Pat Mark. So yeah, it's something to be aware of, but not something to count on too early.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to add to any questions or?
Yeah, well, so when it comes to upgrading and stuff, make sure you focus on the right events, right? So like 1+1 events, like the one that's coming up, or 30+ events are the good events to get up to 15. Anything past 15 you want to do, 5, 10, 15 is event you're looking for that. Getting things up to epic and just occulting to a good prime line, like you said, you did that on most pieces already. Like that's where the good value is. If you get Master Craftsman cubes, you can always throw those on stuff that's unique or stuff that's epic or rare that you're going to keep for a while. For transfer hammering and transposing, make sure you're like 100% on top of that. That can save you a lot of money in the long run, especially when it comes down to switching into full Abzo, right? Getting the level 150 gear, using the 30% off events to get the fodder to 15 star, holding up for 15, popping it over. That's going to save you a lot of money in the long term. Don't overinvest into Abzo. Keep an eye on Arcane in the not too long term. Probably like if you keep playing in like 6 months to a year from now, you'll be like full 17-star Arcane. It seems like really wild at this point, but that's like where you're headed, even with just like a few hours a day and like a little bit more on the weekend invested.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, you'll just like if you have the hookup for your guild so that you get the boss droplets, all you have to do is like put time into training to get enough money and droplets, and then just buy the droplets once they come around from the store, and you'll be there. Yeah. You could just brute force your way there. Like if you asked me that a year ago, 2 years ago, I would say like this is going to take you years. But with the added access that they've added over the last year and a half, it's been accelerated tremendously.
Awesome.
Yeah. Other than that, if there's just like a specific question, or you end up for like specific boss questions, you can always ask that in the chat. And like you said you're in the Adele Central Discord. Like there's probably a bunch of people there who can give you very specific tips on survivability and stuff, probably better than I can, because every character is just like a side character for me. So I have approximate knowledge of many things, but I'm a master of none kind of thing. So yeah, I pick up stuff here and there, and if you find something very interesting you want to share it with me, that will help me keep my knowledge on Adele up to date as well, so we can have a little reciprocal thing going on that way. That would be cool too.
Awesome, absolutely.
But I think you're moving in a good direction. Some things are accelerated, right, because of access to your guild. So try to push the other things that aren't getting as much acceleration a little bit harder to keep up, and just focus a little bit more with your time on that to maintain the equilibrium, and hopefully the progression grid can kind of guide you in keeping track of where your time will have the most value and what numbers you're aiming for, so that you can have that peace of mind of where do I really need to work on and where can I ease off the throttle a little bit.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think all in all, you're very well in the right direction, and I think this was, hopefully this was useful for you. I don't know.
It was. You answered a lot of questions that I had, and kind of, I don't know, it kind of eased my mind a little bit on some of the issues that I was having. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a little bit of confirmation of like, was this, am I okay with this? Is this enough?
Am I doing this right? Is this,
Yeah, because constantly playing and having that feeling like maybe I should be doing and especially if you get well-intended advice from a lot of other people that seems maybe a little bit contradictory to maybe what I say or what you think or what they themselves say in between them, can increase your insecurity or restlessness, where it's like I guess, but maybe. Sometimes it's good to just get a check. Yeah. Any last questions or any shout outs to a guild or something you want to do? I don't know.
Big shout out to Honor.
Yeah. Helping you out a lot.
Helped me a lot. So
cool.
Yeah, good people. And I just want to thank you again for kind of talking me through this and the whole deal. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Well, best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
I'll probably see you around in chat or in Discord, and I'll upload it on YouTube later, so you can always check it back. But yeah, you've got the notes, you know the links, and there's a bunch of helpful people in chat, so you'll always have someone to put you in the right direction.
Awesome.
All right. Well, have a great day.
You too.
All right. Thank you, and see you around.
You as well.
All right. Bye. All right. Cool. Be able to do that in the right time. A little bit of a scheduling snafu with him. I scheduled the session a little bit early in the day. I only just got up, had to make food still and everything, but he was very flexible, so thanks a lot to him for that. Except Pirat Kalaka is pretty toxic. Nice. Play nice in the chat. Once again, reminder that every month I'm giving away 2 of these sessions for free. Usually these are paid sessions, or subscribers in my Twitch chat can buy these with the channel points that they get just from watching the stream. But of course, subscribing can be gifted if you're lucky, but it's generally also paid service, because I do spend a lot of time with these and I take this very seriously. So if you're interested in one of those sessions to win for free, make sure you leave a comment on the video saying that you would like to win, so that I know for sure that your comment is one of those. Other than that, if you don't want to wait for that, you can also find links to schedule one of these sessions for yourself if you're interested. If you want to join my guild, or if you have information for me that helps fuel all of the commands that I have, all of the resources that I have, most of this is like stuff from my personal experience, but a lot of it is also informed by feedback from players like yourself watching, or people in my chat helping me gather data. So if you want to help with that as well, there's also a link in the description where you can submit data for me. Anything from a battle analysis to monster skill per hour, which I think are part of the battle analysis now as well in KMS, so hopefully that's coming to us soon. But you can use the challenge, I forget what it is. It's like Hunter something. It's one of the metal challenges that will keep track of the monster skills, so you don't have to do that manually. That would be impossible. Or if you have training videos of yourself in new maps and high-level maps that can inform me on how high and end-level characters train, because that's of course something very difficult for me to keep an eye on with so many different classes. So all of that data, I welcome it. Links for all that are in the description. And if you are looking for any of the resources that I use on the stream here to help guide these sessions and to help you keep on the right track, you can check my Twitch chat and use the commands there. There's an !commands command that has a list of all the commands, which has close to 200 commands that will help you through the game. Veteran Hunter, thank you. Veteran Hunter Challenge. We'll keep track for you. So yeah, I stream every day, so either I see you live on Twitch or I see you in the next video. Either ways, thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you in the next one.